So for the last 3 weeks, maybe longer, she's had her couples trip planned with her boyfriend to go to Key West.
Just got super aggressive, and that's when I called immediately because he's been physical before, and I'm just not doing that.
So for the last 3 weeks, maybe longer, she's had her couples trip planned with her boyfriend to go to Key West. And when we land, she's going to go to her boyfriend
Elsewhere.
and me and the kids are going to our house. Lindsay, I did not push you or anything.
He doesn't want me to go.
You can ask all of the people that I know if I'm an aggressive or abusive person.
Do you want me to show them the photos?
Don't recommend going on vacation together, but that's just my personal.
I agree with that.
It's just an hour on an airplane.
Do you remember me?
I own this vehicle. It's solely in
Pardon?
my name.
You remember me?
Property right now, she still has access.
When you had Murphy? When you had that guy sleeping in the house? They wound up arresting him for...
So he can get the kid stuff out of my car. Well, I'm still going, Robert, so you can take
I would already said, Lindsay,
their
it's
luggage.
too late to put you on customs.
It's always just going to be a he said, she said.
I mean, you get video footage, you have surveillance cameras, you have something that I can look at and say, yes, he put his hands on you.
So, bless God, today we've got some exclusive body cam footage to view. It's regarding the case of Lindsay Shiver, who has been accused of plotting with her boyfriend Terrence Bethel to hire his childhood friend, a man named Farron Newbold, to permanently get rid of Lindsay's husband, Robert Shiver. You're going to view today an exclusive peek behind the couple's Thomasville, Georgia mansion after their divorce was filed, but only 4 days before a break-in occurred at the Bahamas bar where Lindsay's boyfriend once worked. And this break-in revealed the whole would-be murder-for-hire plot. Watching this footage is like watching a Netflix documentary unfolding.
Of course, he's inside now.
Okay. So what's going on? Y'all are separated, or what's the deal?
We have filed for divorce.
Okay.
We're living in the same house. It's hell on earth, as you can imagine.
Okay.
In her divorce filings, as we've covered in previous videos in this series, we know that Lindsay accused Robert of taking the boys out of town without her, and she even leveled accusations of mistreatment, of misuse against Robert towards her. So now we get to see that day in action on the cops' body cam footage sent directly to me. They tracked down this footage. We get to hear her accusations from her own mouth.
But anyway, woke up this morning. We have travel plans to leave. And he's insisting that I don't go.
When I was reading over those divorce papers, I thought, wow, the cops had to get involved. There has to be body cam footage, and thankfully Thomasville sent it to me today. This woman, Lindsay, is like a changeling to me. She looks different in every photo and video, but now we get to hear her voice.
Okay.
And then I have my keys. He moves me out of the way, starts trying to unload my car. Tells me he owns the car, he owns the rights to it.
It was Sunday, July 16th, 2023, at 7:20 in the morning when Officers Courtney, Murphy, and Officer Erin Vick, the main woman who speaks with Lindsay, they were dispatched to the Shiver residence in reference to a physical altercation.
Just got super aggressive, and that's when I called immediately because he's been physical before, and I'm just not doing that.
While en route, you'll see some of the body cam footage and the in-car systems. They were activated, and now we get to see this tumultuous footage between this couple who's going through this horrible divorce. Upon arrival, the officers make contact with the person who complained, Lindsay Shiver. Lindsay advised the cops of the altercation between herself and her estranged husband, and officers are going to try and encourage Lindsay to, separate, to de-escalate. Now, both Robert and Lindsay were advised of their case number, and they were given Victim Bill of Rights pamphlets. You'll see that Robert kind of is like, he doesn't really want it. Officer John Courtney, his body cam footage only shows about 5 minutes or so of the footage. He's kind of taking other calls. There's also Officer Paul Murphy's footage, which lasts longer, 18 minutes worth of footage, but some of that is him approaching this huge home. You're going to see all of it. The main one is Officer Officer Aaron Vick. It shows more than 15 minutes of the events that happened that day and set the wheels in motion this whole event. The report lists a weapon type of a knife cutting tool involved, so I'm not quite sure. I've watched it through. We'll see if we see a knife cutting tool involved.
So are you just wanting to leave? Or is he supposed to be going with you?
Yeah, we're supposed to be going with our kids.
Okay.
Robert is listed as a 6'3", 225-pound man with brown hair and blue eyes. And Lindsay's height and weight are not listed. But you're going to see a woman who's fed up and resentful of her husband. That's what I got. And she's got a lot of hubris, too. You know, you'll maybe go through a range of emotions like I did when I'm watching this. As you can see, when they pull up, the officers are like, now, what's going on? You guys are separated, or what's the deal? And Lindsay starts to explain it's hell on earth, as you can imagine. We filed for divorce, but we're still living together. Indeed, that's got to be the worst. So Lindsay is trying to explain, we've had these travel plans. She wants to get on the plane with Robert, and she's saying all of a sudden he doesn't want me to go. He starts wanting to unload her car of these bags. And Lindsay says that Robert is explaining to her what he owns and what she owns, and, you know, she doesn't have rights to the car, or he has rights to it, or whatever. Lindsay does say, I called cops immediately because he's been physical before, and I'm just not doing that. She's kind of quiet. She's pretty calm. They're not yelling at each other. So the cop is trying to figure out, so are you just wanting to leave? Like, wait a minute, you guys are separated, you filed for divorce, but you're still living together. Is he supposed to go with you? And Lindsay's like, yes, you know, and the cop is trying to clear up what it is. I don't know what it is that you want us to do.
All right.
So I don't know that's what I was asking dispatch, like what y'all can do if there's even, but of course now he's inside acting.
I mean, I don't know what it is that you want us to do. I mean, if y'all have filed for divorce and y'all are going on a vacation, other than telling him he needs to calm down, I don't personally recommend you go on a vacation if there's an issue like that and y'all have filed for divorce.
Right.
I mean, it's obviously a hostile situation.
Right.
So, is there a way that you can go without him, or? I mean, the best thing, what we're going to do is tell y'all that y'all need to separate.
Right.
I mean, has he put his hands on you that, you know, have y'all been physically aggressive today? I mean.
No, just besides him moving me out of the way of my car to get to it.
Okay, what do you mean he moved you out of the way?
Like pushed me out of the way so he could get to my car and start unloading it.
Okay. We're going to need to talk to him then.
The female cop is making sense. She's like, I mean, if you guys are going to file for divorce, but you guys are still going on vacation together, I don't know what we can do as police officers other than tell him to calm down. Lindsay is not really telling the whole story. The cop says, I don't personally recommend you going on vacation together if there's an issue like divorce, especially, if they're already fighting at 7 a.m. You know, one of their little boys is there. I'm going to redact a lot of the personal information in his face and the license plates and everything. So is there a way that you can go without him? The cop is trying to ask Lindsay, you know, has he put his hands on you? The cops are saying the best thing that what we're going to do is just tell them, look, you guys need to separate. Now, if he put his hands on you or if he's been physically aggressive today, that's another story. That's when Lindsay claims that Robert pushed her out of the way so he could get to her car and start unloading the bags, unloading suitcases. You'll see later it looks like Robert's going to leave Lindsay's suitcase in her Black Widow, as she apparently allegedly called her black Cadillac Escalade, but Robert is going to deny that he pushed her.
No good?
Well, until he comes out here and decides to show out. So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
You familiar with
Nope.
Familiar with her. Somebody was almost got asleep in the house. Like a week.
This house?
Yeah.
Before they realized it?
Yeah.
What in the hell? Why are you filed for divorce and going to go on vacation together? I mean, that's not something that we can work out for you. I mean, because we're going to tell you to separate.
Well, one of the cops is saying, should I just leave? And the female cop is saying, look, maybe you better stay. If he's coming out here, she doesn't know how Robert's going to act. She says, if Robert's coming out here and he's going to start, showing out, well, I need all the backup I can get. So the cops start bantering amongst themselves and they're asking, are you familiar with this house? No, but someone says, yes, I'm familiar with her, one of the cops. And he's going to explain they were there for another call. There was a homeless person who was actually somewhere staying in this house for nearly a week without the Shivers realizing it.
Okay, so what's going on this morning?
Then you hear Lindsay in the garage door telling Robert, don't look at me like that. Robert saying, you're unbelievable. And Lindsay says, you think you're above the law. So he's kind of mad, I guess, that Lindsay called the police.
So for the last 3 weeks, maybe longer, she's had her couples trip planned with her boyfriend to go to Key West.
Okay, but she just said you're going.
That was to Key West.
But they don't.
I'm taking my kids, my 3 boys, to the Bahamas this morning.
Our kids.
Our kids. Yesterday, she sent a message saying that she's going to change her plans and now get on the airplane with me and the kids to go to the Bahamas.
But I own two,
And
by
when
the
we
way.
land, she's going to go to her boyfriend.
Elsewhere.
And me and the kids are going to our house. And I told her I'm not supporting that. And you're not getting on the airplane. That can mess with the kids' heads. And it's just something we're not going to do. Well, I own 50% of the airplane. She, on paper, owns 25 of that. And majority owner, the other 50% owner, and myself are both in agreement to not have her on the airplane. So 75% says we don't want you on the plane.
So they're trying to go on vacation. Robert's explaining, look, we've planned this vacation. What's going on this morning? She switches up the plans. So Robert comes out and he's telling the cops that Lindsay had planned a couples trip with her boyfriend to Key West for the last 3 weeks, but she changed her plans last minute and wanted to get on the airplane with him and the kids to the Bahamas, then go elsewhere with her boyfriend. Now I could see that's like a knife in the gut to Robert. He found out about this affair in February. So we've got February, March, April, May, June, July. So this is 6 months later. Lindsay must have been flying back and forth or somehow seeing her boyfriend all these months. But Robert is telling her this morning, you are not getting on the airplane. You could see it coming to a head. Robert said this would mess with the kids' heads. He doesn't want Lindsay getting on the airplane and then all flying to the Bahamas and then her flying off with her boyfriend to Key West or taking a boat. He owns 50% ownership of the plane and someone else owns another percentage. Lindsay only owns 25%. So the majority owners, 75%, him and someone else, don't want her on the plane. But Lindsay tells him that doesn't mean you get aggressive and push me out of the way.
That doesn't mean you get aggressive, push me out of the way, start unloading my car.
Push you out of the way.
Yes, at the back of the car.
Okay. Lindsay, I did not push you or anything.
He doesn't want me to go.
I raised the back to grab my kids' suitcases. So
With
we
a
could
locked
leave.
car.
So we could leave. That's all it is.
And then Robert says, push you out of the way. He's claiming he did not push Lindsay. The cops are left with this he said, she said situation. They will reference that a lot. They're like, look, like I told you both, again, you guys are filed for divorce. In situations like these, the best thing we can do is recommend you separate. Just separate from each other. You don't need to be going on vacation together if you file for divorce, and it's obviously a volatile situation.
Okay. I'm going to tell you both, like I told you a minute ago, y'all are filed for divorce, okay? In situations like this, the best thing that we always recommend is y'all separate. Don't just separate from each other. You don't need to be going on vacation together if you file for divorce and it's obviously a volatile situation.
That's
Right.
That, I mean, I don't know how else to put it other than that, okay?
Now, of course, we see Robert's side. How hurtful would it be to watch your wife going back and forth to her boyfriend? But at this point, you can tell Lindsay is at that point where it's like that song, when a woman's fed up, there's nothing you can do about it. And Robert said, that's my whole point. we don't need to be going on vacation together. He's like, look, Lindsay, it's too late for you to get on this plane, and you don't need to be confusing the boys getting on the plane. And she's like, it's just an hour plane ride. But they're saying, look, I don't know how else I have to put it. As far as the laws in the state of Georgia, they advise that if you put your hands on each other, that's an act of simple assault, and you can be arrested for family violence.
As far as the pushing and shoving, say Georgia advises that you put your hands on each other, that is an act of simple assault, and you can be arrested on that for family violence. Okay? You're saying he did, he's saying he didn't. So I can't sit here. It's a he said, she said situation. We run into it all the time. So what's gonna?
All of the people that I know, if I'm an aggressive or abusive person.
You want me to show them the photos?
Okay, so here's what's going to happen today.
Robert is hitting back at these accusations. At this point, Lindsay has already put the accusations of violence in her divorce papers. She's going to bring it up again here several times. Robert says, you can ask all my friends and people he knows. He's claiming he's not violent. And people do back him up. I can't take a side here because I don't know. Just like the cops, you have the man saying, I'm not violent. You have Lindsay saying he is. She literally says, do you want me to show them the photos? That part got me. And I do remember I see a photo where she does have bruises on her, but that doesn't mean Robert put them there. Okay, you're saying he did. He's saying he didn't. The cop is saying I can't sit here. It's a he said, she said situation.
I'm going to generate a report that we were out here and that we made contact with the both of you. I'm going to generate a report that states you said he physically moved you away from the vehicle by pushing you away from the vehicle. You say, I didn't do that. I opened the back hatch of the vehicle, got suitcases out.
Suitcase, and she stepped in front saying you're not grabbing them and moved me out of the way.
Exactly. And
I'm moving you, Robert, for God's sake.
We're not going to go back and forth. That's how we're going to do that. I can't tell her she can't go on vacation with you. Okay, it's marital property.
Pilot already said.
Okay, it's all gonna be civil issues. I can't stop her. I can't say you can't go wherever the heck it is you want to go. I can't tell you. You can tell. That has nothing to do with what we're doing here. We're here because of acts of violence to calm the situation. That's what we're here to do. Okay, I can't control y'all going on vacation. I don't recommend going on vacation together, but that's just my personal.
I agree with
It's
that.
just an hour on an airplane.
So what we're going to do is just generate a report that we were out here and we made contact with both of you. That's kind of like the best the cops can do at this point without proof. Part of me, at first I thought, oh my goodness, Lindsay is being so selfish. She just wants to hop on this plane with Robert because it's convenient, fly down there to the Bahamas, and then go with Terrence, I guess. They were planning to boat up to Key West or something? Yeah, that's pretty hurtful. The cop is saying, I'm going to generate a report that says, you said he physically moved you away from the vehicle by pushing you away from the vehicle. Robert's going, I didn't do that. Lindsay is claiming, yeah, she was trying to open the back hatch of the vehicle, get out the suitcases or something like that. But they're like, look, we're not going to do this.
Okay.
With our kids.
Do you have any identification on you? Okay, can I get that, please? Do you have your ID on you?
I do.
Mr. Shiver, what's your phone number?
Now, since I own this vehicle and it's solely in my name.
It's marital property right now. She still has access to it.
Okay, I understand she has access to it, but can I not get my kids' suitcases out of the back?
Yes.
You can get your children's property
That's
out
what
of
I
it.
thought.
So he can get the kids' stuff out of my car.
It's marital property.
Thank you.
And I don't have any paperwork saying that he's not allowed access to the children's property.
He's just not able to move me out of the way to get it. Right.
Robert at one point is allowed to go in her Cadillac Escalade and take out, I guess, the boys' suitcases, put them in his truck so he can just go take all the boys without her to the Bahamas. And you can see how her plan probably ratcheted up after this day. This was probably the linchpin. And he's saying, look, I'm going to tell her she can't go on vacation with me.
Again, he said, she said.
still going, Robert, so you can
The
take.
pilot already said, Lindsay, that it's too late to put you on. And he has to pick up the other owner after he drops us, so we can't be late.
2, 3, 4.
Here's your ID back.
Thank you.
About what time this morning did all this start?
7 a.m.
So you're supposed to be going to the...
She was supposed to be going to Key West and cancel.
Well aware, I text the pilot. Everybody knew it.
Okay.
He's just being extremely difficult. Which, that's nothing freaking new.
Okay, so are you leaving now?
I have to go get my kids.
Okay.
And they're going back and forth about, can I go in here? Can I go in there? And the cops are trying to explain, look, it's all marital property. All of that is like civil issues. Like we are here, basically the cops are there for any type of criminal issues. But as far as civil stuff, as far as who can go in what car, or I guess who can get on what plane, who owns what, that stuff they can't figure out like right then and there that day. They're saying that has nothing to do with anything we're here for. What we're here for is because of acts of violence, and that's the situation. And so the only way to de-escalate is to separate. So now we see why Robert took those boys off to the Bahamas. At one point, Lindsay is going to say, I'm going anyway. I'm still going. But apparently she didn't get on the plane with him at this point, but I think somehow she must have still made it down to the Bahamas. The cops are saying, look, I cannot control you guys going on vacation together. I don't recommend you going on vacation together, but that's just my personal opinion. That's when cops ask both of the Shivers for their identifications. That is when Lindsay quips, it's just an hour on a plane ride. It's like she's gone to an extent, like her mind is like, whatever, Robert. But I'm going to redact their phone numbers here. They're talking about the vehicles sold in whose ever name, but they're saying, look, it's marital property right now. And that's when Lindsay is like, I'm still going, Robert, so I see what that firecracker in her that her friends called her is all about. And Robert's like, it's too late to put your names on customs, and they're trying to explain she still has access to certain things. It's marital property. I don't have paperwork saying that he's not allowed access to the children's property. So yeah, Robert can go in there and get the bags he needs to take the boys to the Bahamas.
All right.
There's 2 that are at other places.
Okay. All right. Like I said, my only recommendation for you is that y'all just separate.
Well, it's always just going to be a he said, she said.
I mean, you get video footage, you have surveillance cameras, you have something that I can look at and say, yes, he put his hands on you. I mean, you know, we have an independent witness that's non-biased. I mean, you know, something, other statements. But right now I have you and him, and, you know, he's saying one thing, you're saying another, you know. I mean, if it's this type of situation, y'all just need to separate. I mean, just don't be around each other if it's going to be like this.
So how do we do that with 3 kids?
All right, what do you have to get, the cops?
So now I'm able to get my kids' stuff back out of the vehicle.
Okay, why are we doing this though? Why do you need to do that?
Well, because he's taking my kids.
So we're going to go back and so we're going to stand here while y'all go back and forth moving suitcases back and
But
forth
that's what I'm
between
saying.
cars.
So that's what's just happened.
If that's what you feel like you need to do, then by all means do it. But you understand it's making the situation worse, and you're doing it in front of the children now. I don't.
Our plans have been the same for weeks.
But this date is so crucial now that I'm thinking of the timeline. You know, all this melee started July 16th, 7 a.m. And when you think about it, just 4 days later, just imagine how angry Lindsay had to be to see Robert, you know, taking her 3 boys, their 3 boys, off to the Bahamas without her. She wanted her cake and to eat it too. I actually can see both sides, because if this domestic issue has any validity to it, not that it'll get her off of a supposed murder plot, but stranger things have happened. So they're trying to figure out, look, you were supposed to be going to Key West, and Robert's saying, look, I texted the pilot, and Lindsay's saying, okay, so you're just leaving now? and she says he's just being extremely difficult, which is nothing freaking new. Lindsay reminds me of a woman who is fed up. Like, I've been through a divorce before, my first marriage, and when you are fed up and done, you're done. They start arguing over go get the kids, and the cops are still saying, just separate. Lindsay is asking, so is it always going to be a he said, she said situation? Almost like, I don't know, she's like reaching out for help, but in a quiet way. And the cop does tell her, look, if you have video footage, if you have surveillance cameras, if you have something that I can look at and I can see, yes, he put his hands on you, or an independent witness that's not biased, or some other statements. But the cop is saying, right now, all I have is you and him just going back and forth. So I wonder at that point why Lindsay couldn't have gone. Now, they might not have had cameras pointing to that part of the garage, but at that point, if she's claiming Robert had just pushed her, I wish she could have gone to a Ring camera and just like scrolled back and said, look, there it is. Or if she has these photos, if she would have gone out and gotten the photos. Now, I have seen photos of Lindsay with injuries. One of them may have been a tennis injury, may have been an injury from tennis, according to Lindsay's post. And I've seen others where I just had noticed a bruise somewhere on her. But again, that's not proof. I don't know if she reached out to any other person, like her parents or her girlfriends, before all this Lee, and told them. So she's like, it's going to be like this? How do we do this with 3 kids? Basically, they're trying to work out how to co-parent, not as a married couple, but as a separated and ultimately divorced couple. So she's saying, Lindsay, at that point, she was going to try and get her kids' stuff back out of Robert's truck. And the cop is saying, look, why do we need to do this? We're not going to go back and forth, basically, watching you two move suitcases back and forth between vehicles. They're saying, look, if that's what you feel you need to do, then by all means, but understand it is making the situation worse. And it's true, because it does get petty. At one point, Robert goes in and gets their youngest son. He's so pretty. His hair is so long. I feel like Lindsay probably let it grow long because she really wanted a girl. That might have been one of her other disappointments in life, having 3 boys instead of having a girl. But the cop is saying, look, you're doing all this in front of the children, and then they argue who's going to pick up Grayson, another one of their sons.
I now have to go pick up our other 2 kids.
I just told her I was going to do that.
Lana just called me and said we can get it.
Okay. Well, I'll go get Grayson.
I can pick him up.
I just said I'm going to get Grayson.
You heard me say the pilot said it's too late to
And
add.
I'm going to get Grayson.
And where is he going? Because I need to get him so I can go to the airport.
We're just not.
I'm trying to take all 3 boys, which is what I've had planned. I'm asking where you take them because I need to pick them up, and I can just leave straight from
Okay,
there.
I'll
We're
bring him
temple.
to you, Robert.
Where is he right now?
Okay.
Is he at Chayton's house?
No.
Whose house is he at?
Put Easton's house.
I can pick him up on the way out. I'll go get Landon, pick him up.
So you're free to go.
I'm doing what I had planned to do the whole time.
Well, at least there's a record of it.
It's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay, wait right here. I got to get you both case number, okay?
And Robert is like, look, I'm just trying to take all 3 boys with me. So he's trying to ask Lindsay, whose house is Grayson at? And Lindsay is saying she could pick him up. I said I can pick him up. And then Robert is like, no, I can just pick him up on the way out. So Robert is ready to just go and get on that plane, grab his 3 boys and just grieve. This man, I can't imagine what he's gone through. But Lindsay is asking Robert, or kind of asking the air, asking the cops, so you're free to go. So she's saying it just like, you're free to go? Maybe she expected the cops to arrest Robert right then. And I don't know why she didn't go show them any proof. If she's going to, allege something so serious, and maybe she is telling the truth, we have to believe people. I don't know. I wish she would have shown them proof. And then she's like, what are you doing now? Oh, because you don't have a car seat, right? She's telling the cops, Robert was going to drive off with our child, not in a car seat. So that was kind of a dig where she's like, you didn't even realize you needed another car seat. But she goes into the car to Robert's truck. She speaks to her son and says, did you brush your teeth this morning? And then the cops are like, whoa, there's so many gnats, the cop says, waving his hands away. So then they hand both the Shivers those brochures. Lindsay takes hers and she's very thankful. Robert takes his, he's kind of like, ugh, you know. But the cop who remembered Lindsay from that other incident about the homeless person, I guess, staying in their home, Paul Murphy, he remembers Lindsay from the previous case. He's trying to ask her at one point, do you remember me? And she was like looking, and then she goes off and starts arguing again. But when they leave, the cops warning each other, watch yourself so you don't get run over. So it was a volatile incident. But those aren't the only incidents that happened at that house within recent years. But that was the most volatile one.
Yes. The mugginess. This is your case number 2023-27264. There's information in here if you need anything else.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll document. I mean, I gotta document both sides. It is what it is. I'm gonna generate a miscellaneous family violence report. This is your case number, the 2023-27264. If you have any questions, you can call to the Justice Center and speak to an officer. So.
You know, Chris is a mother.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Y'all have a better day. Money. Huh? Yeah, that's fine.
On November 19th, 2020, at 19:06 hours, so that's 7:06, Officer Jensen and Officers Ray, Worsham, and Newberry arrived at that house in reference to an open door. So prior to arrival, all the cops' cameras were activated, but I didn't get this body cam footage because I think they told me 120 days or some kind of limit, but this is the main one I'm showing you that I wanted. They made contact with Lindsay, and she advised her and her family were at the residence, and then they left the residence to pick up dinner, and upon returning, her children advised her a door to the house was open. So that's when Lindsay contacted Sergeant Carter, who then contacted Sergeant Kitless, and officers advised dispatch were clearing the residence. The residence was cleared with no persons being located or items missing. Lindsay advised she didn't need a house check at this time. But I'm wondering, is that the reference they were talking about when there was actually a homeless person somewhere sleeping, I guess, on the premises? It's a huge house for a week without them knowing. And then on Sunday, May 15th, 2022, around 1857 hours, a sergeant was dispatched in reference to an abandoned vehicle. Upon the sergeant's arrival, they activated their body cam and their in-car video system and made contact with the vehicle. The vehicle was just disabled and the front end of the vehicle was damaged. At that point, cops spoke to the caller, who was Robert Shiver, and he advised that the vehicle had been there since Tuesday, May 10th, 2022, and Robert advised that he called to report it, and he advised since the vehicle was on his property, he could call a record for himself and have the car towed off. So Robert called a wrecker, and when they responded, it was determined that part of the vehicle was on the city right-of-way, so the wrecker didn't tow it at that time. So the cops tried to find the vehicle owner, but no one answered the phone. The cop was unable to leave messages, and due to the vehicle appearing to be disabled and, just sitting out there for 5 days, the cops made the decision to tow the vehicle. It was some 1994 Ford Ranger. It was blue with Georgia tags, and the vehicle didn't have keys in the ignition. It was secured. It was just entered into GCIC, and it was impounded and towed away by Jay's Towing. Those were a lot lighter incidences, except it's kind of scary to think of somebody just being in that huge home for an entire week and no one knowing about it. That's very strange. Lindsay leaving with her kids and going off and coming back, and a stranger in their home for a week? Man, I don't know. I would like to see more about that. But as of today is Friday, August 11th, and according to the New York Post, Lindsay said it's been really tough. That's what she said wearily as she checked in with authorities at a Nassau, Bahamas police precinct. We know she's been let out on $100,000 bail. At least she's changed her clothes. We're not seeing her in those ripped blue jeans and that white t-shirt, something that she seemingly at least wore for a couple of days in a row ever since she was released from that Fox Hill prison in Nassau. She was there for 19 days, nearly 3 weeks. But her nails were on point, and her Cartier bracelet, as we went over last video. This time she was wearing a white Nike hat, a gray hoodie, and black exercise pants. And with her ankle monitoring tag clearly on display, Lindsay nodded yes when she was asked if the case feels like it's been overblown. Well, she said, "I can't really say too much right now," she said calmly, like probably the same demeanor as in that BODYCAM video footage, that sweet southern twang. She noted that she had been advised to, of course, not say much by the attorneys as her case progresses. She said, "It's been hard, but I can't speak about it." So once again, she was carrying a manila envelope, and Lindsay arrived at the precinct in the upscale Cable Beach neighborhood in a rented Kia sedan. So that's what she'll use to just tool around town locally. I don't know if she'll break the conditions of her release and sneak off to see Terrence, but the way they were giggling in court the other day, maybe she will. "Now I'm having issues with my car," she said exasperatedly. "I have to deal with that now on top of everything else. But I really can't say anything more. I'm sorry. Thank you for being respectful." So that's what Lindsay was saying. Sources are saying that Lindsay will soon be visited in Cable Beach by relatives. We don't know who. Maybe it's her mom. We'll fly the boys down there to, see their mom. Because we're thinking of the boys' perspective. They don't know what's going on, and I'm sure they miss their mom. But an attorney who represents the trio is telling the New York Post that Lindsay's alleged accomplices, her boyfriend Terrence and hitman would-be Farron, they were never close to executing the plan. They're saying too, the matter has been blown out of proportion. Now, in terms of Terrence and Farron, the lawyer is saying those young boys were not capable of doing that. He said with a dismissive smile. That's what the New York Post says. Now, we know that Farron, the would-be hitman, he's a structural engineer and son of a prominent local politician. So he's been declining to comment, but he did tell the New York Post this week that the case is not what it seems. Of course, he's claiming innocence of the charges against him. I still want to see what will the evidence bear out. And Terrence, meanwhile, has been talking to the Daily Mail. He said he would never harm Robert. He wouldn't want to harm his lover's husband. He's claiming this ongoing relationship with Lindsay was never a secret. Well, obviously it was a secret at the point when Robert found out. I mean, Robert had to hire a private investigator to find out what was going on. But maybe it was no longer a secret after then, in February. So what are these text messages going to say? Are they going to be just a hyperbolic fantasy and, Lindsay venting? Which I could see her doing quite a bit after this July 16th day. Or will it be much more? Now let's watch the rest of the videos. Psalm 119:14, I rejoice in following your statutes as one rejoices in great riches.
have travel plans to leave, and he's insisting that I don't go. And then I have my keys. He moves me out of the way, starts trying to unload my car, tells me he owns the car, he owns the rights to it. Just got super aggressive, and that's when I called immediately, because he's been physical before, and I'm just not doing that.
So are you just wanting to leave? Or is he supposed to be going with you?
Yeah, we're supposed to be going with our kids.
Okay. Alright.
So I don't know that's what I was asking dispatch, like what y'all can do if there's even, but of course now he's inside acting.
I mean, I don't know what it is that you want us to do. I mean, if y'all have filed for divorce and y'all are going on a vacation, other than telling him he needs to calm down, I don't personally recommend you go on a vacation if there's an issue like that. And y'all filed for divorce. I mean, it's obviously
have an in and out of
Right.
Orange Street. Complaining about someone broke into their 2022 Toyota Corolla. The vehicle was not left unlocked. Unknown how they got into the vehicle.
Y'all been physically aggressive today? I mean,
No, just besides him moving me out of the way of my car to get to it.
Yeah, but she's also advising that her wallet was thrown in the
Like
roadway,
pushed me out of the way so he
and
could
then
get
all
to
the
my car
cars
and
had
start
been taken
unloading
out of
it.
it.
what in the car?
Temple. You all good? You all good?
Well, until he comes out here and decides to. So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
You familiar with him?
Nope.
Familiar with her. Somebody was homeless guy was sleeping in their house. Like a lady.
Before they realized that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you have a homeless guy sleeping in your house and you don't know?
Why are you filed for divorce and going to go on vacation?
You know, it's another thing that was
And
kind
that's
of,
not something that we can
especially if they've been
work
physical
out.
in the past.
So, and because we're going to tell you to separate. Okay, so what's going on this morning?
So for the last 3 weeks, maybe longer, she's had her couples trip planned with her boyfriend to go to Key West.
Okay, but she just said you're going.
So that was to Key West.
They don't.
I'm taking my kids, my 3 boys, to the Bahamas this morning.
Our kids.
Our kids. Yesterday, she sent a message saying that she's going to change her plans and now get on the airplane with the kids to go to the Bahamas. And when we land, she's going to go to her boyfriend.
Elsewhere.
And me and the kids are going to our house. And I've told her I'm not supporting that. And you're not getting on the airplane. That can mess with the kids' heads. And it's just something we're not going to do. Well, I own 50% of an airplane. She, on paper, owns 25 of that. And majority owner, or the other 50% owner, and myself were both in agreement to not have her on the airplane. So 75% says, we don't want you on the plane.
That doesn't mean you get aggressive, push me out of the way,
Push
start
you-
unloading my car.
Push you out of the way.
Yes, at the back of the car.
Okay, Lindsay, I did not push you or
He
anything.
doesn't want me to go
I raised the back to grab my kids' suitcases so
with
we
the
could
locked
leave.
car.
So we could leave. That's all it is.
I'm going to tell you both, like I told you a minute ago, y'all are filed for divorce, okay? In situations like this, the best thing that we always recommend is y'all separate. Don't just separate from each other. You don't need to
Yeah, we're supposed to be going with our kids.
Alright.
So I don't know that's what I was asking dispatch, like what y'all can do if there's even, but of course now he's inside acting.
I mean, I don't know what it is that you want us to do. I mean, if y'all have filed for divorce and y'all are going on a vacation, other than telling him he needs to calm down, I don't personally recommend you go on a vacation together if there's an issue like that and y'all have filed for divorce.
Right.
I mean, it's obviously
I have an inner and auto.
Right.
So,
Orange Street, 140 Orange Street. Complaint advised. Someone
I
broke
mean, the
into
best thing, what we're going to do is tell y'all that y'all need to separate.
Vehicle was not less than a lot.
Has he put his hands
I
on
know
you?
how they got into the
You know,
vehicle.
have y'all been physically aggressive today? I mean,
No, just besides him moving me out of the way of my car to get to
Yeah,
it.
but she's also advising that
okay, what do you mean?
her
Moving
wallet
you
was
out of the
thrown
way?
in the
Like pushed me out
roadway
of the way so he
and
could
that
get
all
to
the
my car
cars
and
had
start
been taken
unloading
out of
it.
it.
We're going to need to talk.
Temple.
Well, until he comes out here and decides to show out. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Nope.
I'm familiar with her. Somebody was almost got sleeping in their house for like a week before they realized it. Yeah.
Before they realized it?
Yeah.
What the hell? Why are you back for divorce and going to go on vacation? That's not something that we can... We're going to tell you to continue.
Look at me like that.
You,
I know, you think you're above the law.
Okay, so what's going on this morning?
So for the last 3 weeks, maybe longer, she's had her couples trip planned with her boyfriend to go to Key West.
Okay, but she just said you're going.
That was to Key West.
They don't,
I'm taking my kids, my 3 boys, to the Bahamas this morning.
our kids.
Our kids. Yesterday, she sent a message saying that she's going to change her plans and now get on the airplane with me and the kids to go to the Bahamas.
That I own too,
And
by
when
the
we
way.
land, she's going to go to her boyfriend.
Elsewhere.
And me and the kids are going to our house. And I've told her I'm not supporting that. And you're not getting on the airplane. That can mess with the kids' heads. And it's just something we're not going to do. Well, I own 50% of an airplane. She, on paper, owns 25 of that. And majority owner, the other 50% owner, and myself are both in agreement to not have her on the airplane. So 75% says, we don't want you on the plane.
That doesn't mean you get aggressive, push me out of the way,
Push
start
you-
unloading my car.
Push you out of the way.
Yes, at the back of the car.
Okay, Lindsay, I did not push you or
He
anything.
doesn't want me to go
I raised the back to grab my kids' suitcases so
with
we
a
could
locked
leave.
car.
So we could leave. That's all it is.
Okay. I'm going to tell you both, like I told you a minute ago, y'all have filed for divorce, okay? In situations like this, the best thing that we always recommend is y'all separate. Don't just
Good.
separate from each other. You don't need to be going on vacation together if you file for divorce and it's obviously a volatile situation.
That's
Right.
That,
whole
I
point.
mean, I don't know how else to put it other than that, okay? As far as the pushing and shoving, say Georgia advises that you put your hands on each other, that is an act of simple assault and you can be arrested on that for family violence, okay? You're saying you did, he's saying you didn't.
Of
So I got,
course.
if you want to.
I can't
I
sit
know.
here. It's a he said, she
I
said
know.
situation. We run into it all the time.
You
So
can
what's
ask
gonna,
all of the people that I know if I'm an aggressive or abusive person.
Do you want me to show them the photos?
okay, so here's what's gonna happen today. I'm gonna generate a report that we were out here and that we made contact with the both of you. I'm gonna generate a report that states you said he physically moved you away from
Yes.
the vehicle by pushing you away from the vehicle. You say, I didn't do that. I opened the back hatch of the vehicle, got
And then was
suitcases
grabbing the
out.
suitcase, and she stepped in front saying you're not grabbing them, and moved me out of the way. Is
Exactly.
actually what
And
happened.
I move you, Robert, for
I-
God's sake.
That we're not going to go back and forth. That's how we're going to do that. My next, I mean, I can't tell her she can't go on vacation with you. Okay,
I understand that.
It's marital property.
My
That.
pilot already said
Okay,
it's too late to even put her on the
It's
list.
all gonna be. That's all gonna be civil issues. I can't stop her. I can't say you can't go wherever the heck it is you want to go. I can't tell you. You can tell. That has nothing to do with what we're doing here. We're here because of acts of violence, to calm the situation. That's what we're here to do. Okay. I can't.
I understand.
I can't control y'all going on vacation. Don't recommend going on vacation together, but that's just my personal.
I agree with
It's
that.
just an hour on an airplane, just
Okay.
with our kids.
Do you have any identification on you?
I do.
Okay, can I get that, please? Do you have your ID on you?
I do.
Mr. Shiver, what's your phone
Look
number?
at that.
229.
Do you remember me?
I own this vehicle, it's solely in
Pardon?
my name.
You remember me?
Property right now, she still has access.
When you had Murphy? When you had that guy sleeping in the house? They wound up arresting him for.
So he can get the kid stuff out of my car.
It's marital property. And I don't have any paperwork saying that he's not allowed access to the children's property.
He's just not able to move me out of the way to get it.
That's,
Right.
It's, he said.
Well, I'm still going, Robert, so you can take.
pilot already said, Lindsay,
Their
it's
luggage.
too late to put you on customs. And that's, he has to pick up the other owner after he drops us, so we can't be late.
What's a good phone number for you?
3. Thank you.
What time this morning? Start.
7 a.m. Bright and early.
So you're supposed to be going to the.
She was supposed to be going to Key West and canceled her trip.
Yes, I'm supposed to be going to the Bahamas this morning. He knows that, well aware. I text the pilot. Everybody knew.
Okay.
He's just being extremely difficult. Which, that's nothing freaking new.
Okay, so are you leaving now?
I have to go get my kids.
Okay. All right.
There's 2 that are at other places.
Okay. All right. Like I said, my only recommendation for you is that y'all just separate.
Well, it's always just going to be a he said, she said.
I mean, you get video footage, you have surveillance cameras, you have something that I can look at and say, yes, he put his hands on you. I mean, you know,
I know.
we have an independent witness that's non-biased. I mean, you know, something, other statements. But right now I have you and him, and, you know, he's saying one thing, you're saying another, you know. I mean, if it's this type of situation, y'all just need to separate. I mean, just don't be around each other if it's going to be like this.
But how do we do that with 3 kids?
All right, where you at? Are you at the cops?
So now I'm able to get my kid stuff back out of the vehicle.
Okay, why are we doing
See you.
this though? Why do you need to do that?
Well, because he's taking my kids.
So we're going to go back and so we're going to stand here while y'all go back and forth moving suitcases back and
But
forth
that's what I'm
between
saying.
cars.
So that's what's just happened.
If that's what you feel like you need to do, then I mean, then by all means do it. But you understand that it's making the situation worse, and you're doing it in front of the children now. I don't.
Our plans have been the same for weeks. I now have to go pick up our other 2 kids.
I just told her I was willing to do that.
Lena just called me and said you've been good.
Okay. Well, I'll go get Grayson.
I can pick him up.
I just said I'm going to get Grayson,
You've heard me say the pilot said it's too late to
and
act.
I'm going to get Grayson.
And where is he going? Because I need to get him so I can be
Okay.
able to.
We're just not.
I'm trying to take all 3 boys, which is what I've had planned. I'm asking where you're taking
Thomas
them.
County,
Because I need to pick them
577
up, and I can just leave straight from
Okay, I'll bring him to you, Robert.
Where is he right now?
Okay.
Is he at Chayton's house?
No.
Whose house is he at?
He's at Easton's house.
I can pick him up on the way out. I'll go get Landon and pick him up.
So you're free to go.
I'm doing what I had planned to do the whole time.
Oh, there's a record of it.
It's fine. Okay, we go.
Okay, wait right here. I gotta get you both cases.
That's okay.
I was not with that one.
Case number is 27264. 27264. Dispatched at 720 on team 728.
Oh, because you don't have a car seat, right? Huh? And was gonna drive off with our child not in a car seat. That's nice. Did you brush your teeth? You brush your teeth this morning? Okay.
Precinct home. W 28 out of Georgia.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Stand by.
Tango Golf Quebec 391.
Thank y'all.
When you do hire an attorney,
391.
I'd get a copy of that report and just give it to them.
Oh, I do have one.
So get a copy of that report and give it to them whenever you
Yeah,
get that done.
okay. Yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Y'all have a better day.
Money.
Watch yourself so you don't get run over. Just watch yourself so you don't get run over. Garden Center? Garden Center?
So now that we've watched all of the footage, what do you think? I don't know, it has me, I started out thinking, oh my goodness, Lindsay, how could she be so cold-hearted and mean towards Robert? Robert is a great-looking guy. I mean, his calves are huge. Did you see those calves? He's athletic, he's a great-looking guy, this tall, handsome rich man. And by the way, the women on Facebook are friending him up and down, and I hear he's accepting their friend requests. So shoot your shot, girlfriends. Can you imagine, people keep calling her this, like I've called her, this beauty queen. She had it all. She had all the riches. She had the expensive jewelry. She had the great-looking husband. She had the family. She had the mansion. She had the travel. Why wasn't that enough for her? And that's what I was thinking too. And of course, part of me still thinks that. But now, after watching this body cam footage, what do you think? I think it's something much deeper going on here. Lindsay keeps bringing up these accusations. And again, we do have a he said, she said situation. Lindsay, I feel like she's at the point where she stopped caring. Not only stopped caring, she's resentful of Robert. That really came out to me in this footage. I feel like I'm no longer looking at these Instagram perfect pictures of this great husband, Robert, providing his wife with all the luxuries you could ever want and her just not being satisfied. Of course, none of this, don't get me wrong, none of this means he deserves a murder for hire plot set up against him. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I see a woman here who something is wrong. And maybe it is just selfishness, but it looks like something deeper. It looks like, of course, all these riches, all these jewelry and the Lily Pulitzer and the home and the furnishings and the everything, the furnishings, everything. And she followed a lot of designers, home designers. All of that wasn't fulfilling. And I don't even think it was just boredom. If it were just boredom, could she have gotten past that? I don't know. Was she being mistreated behind closed doors? And again, that's no excuse, but you see this happening in certain cases. Was she being mistreated? And at some point she continues going to the Bahamas. What happened here? And she met Terrence, and was he kind to her? And she went the wrong way and started the affair with him. Robert finds out in February. Of course, he's very angry. He draws up divorce paperwork where he's not wanting to give her any alimony because of the adultery statute in Georgia. And he wants full custody of the kids. And did he start punishing her even more because of that? And then did Lindsay dig in deeper and deeper? You can see it happening, going off with Terrence, continuing to just be with him, and that being her outlet. And again, it's sad the boys are in the middle of all this. It's not right. I'm just saying I can see how something like this can happen. If she was dissatisfied with Robert for whatever reason, I hope he wasn't violent with her. But I am entertaining that possibility more and more after watching this body cam video, even though he did nothing in the video to prove her assertions. It's just making me wonder the way she's just fed up with him and doesn't care anymore and has the hubris to want to jump on a plane with him and the boys and then be like, see you boys, I'm off to Key West, with my boyfriend. I don't know if the boys knew she had a boyfriend. I don't know if Robert told them all that. He probably didn't. But of course he would be hurt. He wants a wife who's faithful. Who doesn't want a spouse who's faithful and dedicated to them? And so July 16th, Robert takes the boys off to the Bahamas. And then, 4 days later, mysteriously, this Grabber's bar gets broken into. So we can see the timeline unfolding. We can see it happening. We can see Lindsay, no doubt, giving Terrence an earful after this day. If she's telling Terrence after this day, look, I was trying to come down there. I was trying to do our couples vacation to Key West, but Robert messed it all up. He won't let me get on the plane. He won't let me be with the boys. He won't let me talk to them. He pushed me out of the way. And you can see this probably angering Terrence, especially being a younger man, likely wanting to protect his girlfriend even more. So isn't it ironic that only 4 days after this event happened, all of a sudden, Grabber's bar, the safe gets broken into? Because when people are enacting plans, they need money. At this point, I don't even know how Lindsay would get the money to go to Key West. Maybe this is how. Because she said Robert had cut her off from finances way back when they were filing in April for their divorce. So he had already cut her off. He was already moving money. He was already, turning off the utilities. She didn't have internet service at the house and all that. And I'm sure it's because Robert just didn't want her like FaceTiming her boyfriend and all that. So he's cutting stuff off, and their divorce order says you're not supposed to be doing that kind of stuff. So he's cutting all that stuff off. He didn't want her using the private jet, which I really can't blame him, you know, going down there and just jetting off to see her boyfriend. But imagine Lindsay calling Terrence and saying, yeah, he's banning me from coming down there. Our Key West vacation we've been planning for the past 3 weeks, it's off. And I could see someone saying, oh, don't you worry, babe, I'll get the money somehow. We'll still go on that vacation. So if Lindsay was desperate for cash at that point, isn't it ironic that the Grabbers Bar break-in happened just a few days after this body cam melee? And then, a few days after that, you know, cops are finding all these incriminating, allegedly text messages talking about a hit. So I can see how this happened, you know, and this would make great evidence for a jury to see how stuff was ratcheted up. Finding out about the cheating in February. April, contentious divorce paperwork being filed back and forth, fighting over the kids, fighting over property, money getting moved, stuff getting turned off in the house, making it harder and harder. July 16th, ooh, this contentious altercation to the point where cops had to get involved. July 20th, 21st in there, Grabbers Bar is robbed. For long, the trio is arrested. You see them being extradited on July 28th, walking through the Nassau airport, and then now the events of August with them showing up in court, getting released on bail, awaiting trial, seeing what's going to happen in October. So I don't know. What do you think about all that footage? I feel like there's a deeper story. Like someone commented, it was very good. They were saying, you know, don't just keep saying, oh, if you're unhappy, get a divorce. Now, of course, if you're unhappy, you don't contrive some murder plot. You don't do that. But nothing can excuse that. But you can see the events as they're snowballing to this crescendo, and now I see how it happened, especially with this body cam footage. What do you think about it all? Do you think Lindsay is going to mount this defense of like a battered wife syndrome, venting to her boyfriend and his childhood best friend, trying to, you know, man up and take up the charge to protect her? How much evidence do they have to show that Robert's life was really in danger or not? And if they get off on some technicality, or will she get a sympathetic jury of some women who've been through bad marriages? Because I will tell you, yeah, that is one thing. If there's a battered wife or a battered husband syndrome, yeah, don't just flippantly tell a victim, just get a divorce. What's wrong with you? No, it isn't that easy. Now, I'm not saying Robert's violent. Lindsay could be lying through her teeth, and that's what I don't know. Like, is this why her parents were so willing to have sympathy for her and bail her out? Even though rumors claimed they had cut her off financially, I'm not sure if those are true or not, but we know for sure they are helping her and, you know, bailing her out and all that stuff. Is that why Lindsay's parents had more of a soft side for her? Because did she reveal to them what she was suffering with in her marriage? But yeah, don't just tell someone if they are truly battered and not just using it as an excuse to gain sympathy. If they truly are, you can't just tell that person, just leave, just get a divorce, because that takes a lot of planning, a lot of saving, and a lot of non-confrontation. And Lindsay is pretty calm in this video. So let me know what you think. It's just amazing. I'm grateful I got this video. It gives us more insight, and we will just continue on again with this case, anything else I get, behind the scenes looks, and still move forward to other cases. Thank you so much for watching all of this. Take care.